A's in Blue position previews right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Talking Michigan football, the Maize in Blue with James Yoder. You can catch him at Chat Sports, also his Michigan's football report. Talking wide receivers, let's move to the national transition of positions here, because the stat that you just mentioned in regards to pass attempts per game is pretty striking, because the Michigan offense was fairly proficient through the air when they allowed all that recruited talent. I think this has been one of the more underutilized positions in the country. And certainly the wide receivers are more dependent on other positions than any other position on the field. But to go from 28th in the nation in yards per pass attempt, so you're gaining chunk yardage, number 24 in the nation in completion percentage, but number 102 in pass attempts. It speaks to exactly what you're talking about. And there's a number of people that would believe that Nico Collins, Donovan Peoples-Jones, those guys have been underutilized.
Without question. And I think it speaks to the lack of passing game development under Jim Harbaugh. Maybe he's going to make a big change. Maybe he's going to make a left turn and they're going to be a modern passing offense. But you think about this, Mark. Michigan went from something like September 15th or 16th, 2017 until the Notre Dame game, I believe, 9 straight games, 9 complete football games without a wide receiver catching a touchdown pass. I mean, if you say that out loud, you'd be like, what century am I in? Is this 1919 or is it 2019? Right? 9 games without a wide receiver catching a touchdown pass in the to end the 2017 season. So that is just wild to me. And obviously, Donovan Peoples-Jones had a 3 touchdown game this year. I believe it was against Nebraska. And I believe Michigan has, if you take their 3 guys and if they get them on the field and they're all healthy, which has never been a possibility so far, you're up there with Alabama, Clemson, a couple other schools. You should have a top 4 or 5 wide receiver core in the country. Now, I think you can give them routes that make those guys threats, right? You've got Peoples-Jones streaking on the field, Nico Collins dragging across the middle, and Treat Black on a post route, something like that. Give them opportunities to get open, spread the defense, and they will thrive. You might have 3 guys over 700, 800 yards. But if you do more of the same, where one guy is doing a 3-yard curl and the other guy is doing a streak down the field, you're going to get what you have. And Michigan has gone, I believe it's 11 of the last 12, 9 of the last 10 years, I think it is, 9 of 10 last 10 years, without a 1,000-yard wide receiver after going 12 straight with one, right? So the Lloyd Carr era, you're a 1,000-yard receiver every year, but I believe one. And since he's left, you had Jeremy Gallon with a 1,355 yards or something like that in 2013 when Michigan was playing catch-up all year and really been underutilized in the passing game since then.
And those numbers are even magnified, but what you stated earlier in regards to the proliferation of the passing game elsewhere. And so the numbers have gone up elsewhere in regards to just total attempts, passing yardage, the touchdown to interception ratio, where at Michigan under Lloyd Carr, they thrived with guys like Drew Henson and Chad Henne and Tom Brady, of course, throwing the football downfield, John Navarre as well. And now there's been a regression, and Shea Patterson appears to be the guy that obviously took steps forward in the passing game last season, but can really take advantage of Nico Collins and Donovan Peoples-Jones in particular. Nico Collins was 5th in the Big Ten in yards per catch, but only caught 38. And then Peoples-Jones with 47 receptions and 8 touchdowns last year. Tariq Black needs to stay on the field after only 4 catches and 11 the season before. Got James Yoder on the line from Chat Sports. Please join him for James Yoder's Michigan football report. Keep it locked in here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, where we break down everyone across the country. We are diving into our position previews. We've arrived at Michigan's tight ends. Zach Gentry, the last in the line of really good Michigan tight ends moving on to the NFL, caught 32 last year. Sean McKeon, I looked at a few articles where he gained some rave reviews during spring camp, as did Eric All, who was the 13th rated tight end coming out of high school.
Yeah, the tight end position is one that I'm intrigued by this year. Jim Harbaugh has emphasized it for his entire coaching career, but Josh Gaddis is going to, I believe, de-emphasize it quite a bit. So it's going to be interesting to see, is it a split tight end where he's out there more of like a Gronk or an NFL style tight end where he's a big time slot receiver that can drag across the middle, that can go deep, get that gap between the middle linebacker and the safety to make some catches? Or is it going to be, hey, when we run, we put a tight end in, and sometimes we'll catch him off guard, and that guy will block and break off for an 8-yard gain? That's what I'm more intrigued for than the personnel, because I think they've got 4 or 5 guys. You've got redshirt freshman Mustafa Muhammad that we didn't even talk about, and the player I believe will end up, whether it's game 1 or mid-season, be the leader in the pack, at least from a offensive production standpoint, is actually Nick Eubanks. So he got out of the gate really strongly in 2017 with a great touchdown catch against Florida in the opener, and then got hurt, was out for the season. And really, it seemed like that injury kind of kept him out of competing last year. Gentry took hold of the starting role. So I think McCune, after a couple of injury-riddled seasons, will be the guy that'll emerge as the best pass-catching availability of tight end in this offense. A lot of people think McCune, and Jim Harbaugh for some reason still likes to talk up Sean McCune every time anyone asks about him, how great he plays, how good of a team guy he is, all these different things. But I think Sean McCune is one of the more like pull your hair out players that is on this Michigan football team, in the sense that there are plays that he makes that you just, like I said, you just want to pull out your hair, whether it's waiting at the end zone for a ball to come to you and like thinking that no one else is going to compete for it and just standing there like this, and the cornerback comes in, which happened against Western Michigan, one of these teams earlier on, and people were like, what are you doing, McCune? Make a play for the ball. He was wide open at the goal line. Instead of just jumping up and catching it, he just stood there. Player comes in, intercepts it, right before the half. And there was a number of plays like that the last couple seasons. Drops against Ohio State that were meaningful in the last couple years, specifically 2017 had a really impactful drop when the game was on the line. So I think those mistakes are going to outweigh his talent and the upside that maybe Jim Harbaugh thinks he has. And you'll see Josh Gaddis, if given the decision, power, he's going to go with a guy like Nick Eubanks that can stretch the field.
Not taking into account those mistakes, McEwen with 14 catches and a touchdown last year. You mentioned Eubanks, his numbers compromised by injury with a touchdown reception and 8 catches.